Hello, I'm Sora Luxon, and this is, if I can get my cell phone on vibrate, this is Hermetic Principle number 2, the principle of correspondence. As above, so below. That is the principle of correspondence in Hermetics. There's always a correspondence between the laws and phenomena of the various planes and fields of existence, of being. The macrocosm is a reflection of the microcosm, is another way of saying this, and vice versa, right? The microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. Made in my image, that's from the Bible. Everything then is in harmony with divine intelligence, the mental, emotional, material, and spiritual. For instance, when we apply the principle of correspondence, we create harmony in ourselves and others, and then come into a better understanding of the alignment we have, which then is going to allow us to be the best possible version of ourselves if we want that. One example you can think of when you look to correspondence as a law, as the principle functioning in life, is in our relationships with others. You can look directly at the relationships you have with other people around you. When you look to those, you can see a correspondence to who you are. It's also here that you can start to gain the skill of accepting and appreciating other people's worth, because by so doing, you create the correspondence of having your own worth accepted and appreciated. As the range of our harmony with others expands, our ability to harmonize with them, to correspond correctly, so too does your sphere of influence, or our sphere of influence, right? It's all a reflection. As above, so below. As within, so without. There are no degrees of separation between you and the universe. I explained this a little bit earlier in the law of vibration, or maybe later, depending on what order you're viewing the principal videos in. Regardless, I explained it a little bit in the law of vibration, that you are a part of the universe. It and everything in it, and you yourself, are made of the same stuff. I always think of the physicist Neil deGrasse Tyson when I say something like that, right? The most distant star shares the matter it's built from with you. You are made of the same stuff as that star. And it's only by limited perspective that we perceive ourselves to be as other from things, differentiated from them. That is, as subjects viewing objects. We aren't. It's all connected. And if it's all connected, if that sense of separation is an illusion, which it is, then there's nothing separating you from everything. The magical applications of that are going to be limitless, right? When occultists speak of the magic of transmutation, for instance, yes, they're talking about changing on the inside in order to change things on the outside. As within, so without. That is one of the operations of this Hermetic principle. And although it can be applied in a manner of ways for all sorts of things and outcomes, right, to objects, talismans, amulets, to do magical workings, scenarios, eventualities with other people, those sorts of things within a sacred circle. Transmutation at the most refined levels of a practitioner's high magic is applied to change what's within them, or if you're the one doing it, what's within you, in order to effect desired change on those things which are seemingly exterior to you. That is, to change your entire life by immediate effect, in whatever way you, the practitioner, the magician, chooses. This can be a bit more complicated than it appears on the surface to be, because our minds have both conscious and subconscious aspects, right? Otherwise, every time we thought there's a Porsche in my driveway, a Porsche would pop into existence. Your subconscious also has to have access to this and has to perceive it and believe it for it to be a function of your reality. It's the subconscious instead of the conscious, which has also the more direct and therefore more powerful message imprinting ability onto reality. So that is part of what makes it a little more complicated than it appears to be on the surface. I'm trying to think of a silly example. Let's say your hair is brown, right? That's as general as things can get. You're a brunette, and you tell yourself consciously out loud over and over that your hair is not brown, but bright blue. If you will yourself to consciously believe this, but the subconscious knows still that your hair is brown, then your hair is going to be and remain brown, and you're going to perceive it that way no matter what you do, no matter what magics you do, no matter how many times you consciously tell yourself it's a different color, it's going to be brown. The subconscious believes it's brown, so it's brown. If, however, you could or can inform the conscious and subconscious mind of its being blue rather than brown, if that information gets taken up by the subconscious, then depending on what magic you've done to accomplish this effect, your hair will look bright blue to you when you look in a mirror. With a more powerful magic, it'll look bright blue to other people as well. It'll be more powerful glamour. Even more likely, by creating the change in your reality in both the conscious and subconscious mind, you'll probably find yourself immediately dyeing your hair blue, physically, no matter what. You'll probably stop, drop what you're doing, and find a way to make sure that you get your hair dyed blue. Because that's one of the most powerful ways that magic works to create what it's told to, sometimes, directly through us, by having us do what is immediate and necessary to produce the magicked outcome. Even if we don't necessarily agree to it or know the steps to get there, it's going to get us there. As within, so without. If your mind internally knows your hair to be bright blue, if you believe it so much that you know it on the inside of yourself, at a subconscious and conscious level, then it's going to become bright blue on the outside. And what seems to be your exterior reality, one way or another, it will. Because there really is no separation between the two. One corresponds to the other. And so will match the change you make in one to the other. That is what magic with a CK, right? The spelling of magic, M-A-G-I-C-K, that is what it means. After all, right? Causing change to occur in conformity with will. As within, so without. I'm sure you can see the immediate applications that you could use with this principle in your life, right? Want to be desirable? Want to be super successful? Want to hold on to youth? Health, command respect, want to snap your fingers and become the parent or the friend or the partner, the person you've always wanted to be, seemingly instantaneously. The new car, the new college tuition, the new associations you want. Maybe you want to start ascending into something not strictly held on this plane. The magician's priorities tend to change and rise as they evolve and change and rise within the great art itself. But to become the best version of yourself does eventually usually present itself as a goal or a focus. Well, as within, so without. See, you can apply this to a bunch of different things to get desired outcomes. You have habits and programming. You've been programmed. We all have. Much of that programming is not serving you. And that's the problem, right? If there's a hindrance, that's where it lies. Some of those programmings are outright hindering you. Magical operations create change. One of the most powerful ways to do that in the occult traditions is to create change in yourself. Instead of only on objects or ritual tools or talismans or events, when you work within the sacred circle and you're doing those things, that is magic as well, and it is the same principle in effect. But by knowledge and application of the law of correspondence, you can look at your programming and get rid of what is to your own detriment while supplanting it with what you want and working with the sacred circle that's you internally to affect massive external change. Also, fundamental to the Hermetic principle of correspondence is how the alchemist who gains footing in it, when you begin to grasp it, right, you're going to have a profound respect for other people, animals, things, no matter what, because we know ourselves to be unseparated from them. why would you mistreat someone or treat someone unjustly or say yell and curse at them unfairly or something, right? Why would you do that? By disrespecting them, you're disrespecting yourself. When you're in step with this Hermetic principle, you know that. You know you're disrespecting the all that you're a part of. Also, since there's no actual distance between you and anything else, you're really going to start becoming mindful and aware that you're calling any force forward to you instantaneously. So you're not probably going to be walking around calling forward those forces that you do not want to have return to you in cyclical effect. The interpretation of distance and separation of yourself from anything else, knowledge, resources, people, places, things, it's illusory, right? I've already gone over this a little bit. Energy is all around and within you all the time. You aren't separate from it. I can't help but think of the character Gilfoyle. I don't know if you've seen this television show. There's a television show called Silicon Valley. It aired a while back from when I'm recording this now. It was a series. But there was a character called Gilfoyle. And when I discuss Correspondance, I always think of him in this fictional show, this character. He's a practicing Satanist who's portrayed the way an actual practicing occultist or a Thalamite or a Satanist would be, instead of what people's biases might think that means. He's actually shown to be behaving the way a Satanist would be if they were practicing rightly. He is constantly and consistently confirming a state of depolarized self-awareness and the integrity of non-conformative truths, whether or not they're comforting for people. He's refusing to harm others or behave badly because he understands how correspondence works, right? He even talks at one point about, I cannot disrespect someone else. In so doing, I disrespect myself, right? And he's just generally the smartest, most level-headed person in the room in any situation, which is usually a big flag of who the occultist in any room is. I'm not saying you should or need to be a Satanist to be a practitioner of the great work. Many aren't. But that character, that fictional Satanist character, has a very real grasp of the law of correspondence. So I always think about that when I'm discussing this law. From the other side of the spectrum, you could have someone like Matt Kahn. He has a bunch of YouTube videos speaking on the idea of loving everything, using constant examples of figures, including Jesus, very much sometimes speaking from a Christian perspective, to deeply explain the law of correspondence as well, and how people can use it to great effect in their lives. So from two seemingly juxtaposed backgrounds that have just come into my mind, right? The same principle of the law of correspondence, presenting itself through these practitioners of the great art, whether fictional and made-up characters on a television show or real-life men, for the alchemist's use. Here's that law being presented. I'll put those names in the description in case you want to look them up on YouTube for some reason, that fictional character I was talking about, and the non-fictional, very real Matt Kahn. Gilfoyle curses a lot, the fictional one, in Silicon Valley, the show. And Matt Kahn never curses, in case you're choosing what to look up at work. Until next time.